I stayed home for a full academic session before my dad finally went to enroll me in a government secondary school for SS1. Sadly, he died when I was about to sit for my WAEC. Things were bad before he died, but after he died, things became worse. It was 3 days to the close of registration, and I didn't have the money complete to pay for my fees, to pay for my SSA fees. I was the head girl of my school, and I had a good track record because I was leading quite well, and I was also representing the school for competitions, even down to regional levels, regional and state levels. My tourism teacher then, she actually came in and she saved the day. She gave me the remaining fees, which was about 15,000 naira at the time, and I was able to pay and write my exams. That kicked a realization in me that this was my reality now, and it is best that I start the fight early. Immediately I dropped my pen, hustle started. I was 15 and I started selling in the market. I sold yam for a while, sold groundnut at some point, and then I went just like for a short while. And then I took a job, a teaching job at a school. I started teaching kids, very stressful, 42 kids. And after that, after like 2 terms, my tourism teacher that paid my fees called me that her husband had a medical facility and he was looking for a receptionist, and she called me if I was up and I said I was up, and I went for the interview and I got the job, which was like 3 times the pay I was earning as a teacher at the time. I started moving progressively from one job to the other, doing more studying. I really did want to go to college. In fact, the plan or what I envisioned from childhood was to school outside the country, but it didn't work out. But I'm still grateful for how life has turned out. Since I hadn't gone to college just yet, that didn't stop me from upscaling and then taking bigger roles and up for myself for 7 whole years, every single day. Days where I was sick, days where I didn't have the motivation to move, every single day. And that's all that matters to me. I have made significant progress. I'm able to pay for courses, I'm able to pay for trainings, I'm able to fend for myself, I'm able to buy myself clothes. These were things that I couldn't do at the time. I could barely afford to get pad when this journey started, but this is how far I have come. The life of an average Nigerian is hard. I have to stand in for myself as a father. I am the father, I am the mother, I am also the child. So you can imagine the responsibilities and the weights that comes with doing the calculations, I'm doing the spendings, I'm doing the hustling, the working, I'm doing the schooling. I'm literally doing everything. A whole lot. Nothing teaches you faster than real world experiences. So I've learned a whole lot about money, about business, about people. I've learned a whole lot, and one of the most important things that I've learned is how to set up systems for yourself. If you want to build something and actually make it work, you have to set up systems. So one of the things that has always kept me going is that I'm always setting up systems for myself, positions that will push me to succeed or to do better in life. And one of the things I had to do recently, even though I have genuine phobia for camera, oftentimes I don't like the way I look on camera, I had to set up a 363-day challenge on Instagram, which has pushed me to actually bring myself out, push myself out and try to connect with people. And so far it's been going really great. That's the beautiful thing about setting up systems, because even on the days that I'm scared, on the days that I'm tired, on the days that I'm unwell, I still have to find a way to show up. Today I'm really low on energy, but I'm showing up. I'm making my first video on YouTube. My family was pretty comfortable when we were growing up, like we had money, and watching everything like go down the drain overnight and then we were struggling to feed was a huge shock to me as a child. And when I started working and I started gaining exposure and going out there to work, I've made myself a long-term promise that I'm going to make money and I'm going to sustain wealth. The journey of this has not been entirely smooth because I made my first $1,000 at around age 18 and I lost almost all of it. I made 1 million naira again. I brought myself back to zero. I did it for the second time. I brought myself back to the zero. Now I'm on a journey to doing it again and actually sustaining it, because I figured out that that's the most important part. That's the part where a lot of people struggle. A lot of people have had periods in their life where they've actually touched money, but they've not been able to sustain it, so they go back to zero. So I think that's where the problem lies: sustenance. Now I went back to zero. The last time I hit rock bottom was last year, and I felt like it was over for me, to be honest, because there was nothing in sight. There was nothing. It felt so dark, and then I made the decision to move from Abuja to Lagos to try something else, and it was really difficult because it felt like starting from scratch again. So I took 2 jobs the same month I came into Lagos because I was not having any single dime on me. So I had to take 2 jobs. Very stressful. I didn't spend last Christmas at home. I spent it working. I spent the New Year working, and somehow I was able to progressively. I've been able to hit my annual target, financial target, within the 4th month of the year, around April. I'm on a journey to actually seeing that this never goes back to zero. There is sustenance. I'm actually trying again and being even more intentional about this time. Now there's an invisible weight of having a different timeline, right? Because what normal child lives enjoying childhood or teenage, figuring out themselves as a girl, and immediately goes into work, into the corporate space, and start working because before she can even figure out who she is. Having a different timeline comes with a lot of weight because you're always scared because your journey is different from others and you don't know what lies ahead. You're just putting in the work and showing up and being positive. I'm currently not in my space. I'm currently staying with a relative. So I'm making plans and I'm actually looking forward to having my own space for the first time. I've gone through the phase of being scared and crying about it, but I just know that that is the next action in line. So I'm actually facing it. I'm looking at the bright side of it, right? Having my own place, my own comforts, my peace, having to decorate the space how I want it. I experiment a lot. I also anticipate the freedom to experiment with different stuff in my own space. I'm focusing on the good side of it.